Good evening and welcome to the fifth heat of the 888 Poker Nations Cup, where 6 teams are reeling and squealing their way to a first prize of $100,000. I'm Jesse May, and with me in the commentary box to the bitter end is a top table man, Englishman Barney Boatman.
Hi, Jesse.
It's been a great tournament so far, but for those of you who are new, a quick reminder on what the format is about. Teams play 6 heats with 1 member of each team competing in each. Players score points for their team depending on their finishing position. 10 points for the heat winner, down to 1 point for the first player eliminated. At the end of the 6 heats, the total points accumulated by each team will determine how many chips they begin the final with. The final is a tag game, where the team captains will substitute players as the game progresses. The winners take home the first prize of $100,000 and the trophy. This is the situation after 4 heats. Denmark on top of the table with 25 points, closely followed by Ireland with 23. Germany, USA, and Sweden still in the mix, but Great Britain, when will the home hopes get heisted? 8 points alone. Those are the standings. Let's have a look at these 6 teams. Denmark have played so well so far. They've been deep at the top. Are they deep with the guys that are left?
Jesse, we've said it all along, no weak links in the Danish team, and they've got 2 real heavy hitters still to come in Sorensen and Captain Vent.
Ireland quite happy with their position, but world champion Noel Furlong yet to play. Is he a surprise or a bust?
Well, Jesse, we've got the 2 old wise heads still to come of Noel Furlong and Don Fagan. And Noel, I played him in the EPT in Dublin last year, and he was on fire.
He's still got it. Germany have come way up. Their last 2 players have done great, and the German captain yet to play.
That's right. The German captain, a very strong player, as is Andreas Krauser. Great man to have in your corner.
USA might have been a bit disappointed with some of their players not making the final frame, but the 2 ladies, Cloney Gowan and Kathy Liebert, they could do it.
Yes, the USA haven't had the rub of the green up to now. They're putting some strong performances, and they've got 2 great players yet to come. They'll be comfortable going into the final, Jesse.
The Swedish team may be a bit dispirited with their results, only 16 points, but they've got some guns left in the bag.
That's right, they're all young, talented players, not afraid to mix it up, and with Sonnet and Alansak still to come, expect to see some fireworks.
And Great Britain has just rolled off to a very slow start so far, but when you talk about Vaswani and Beavers being left, it's all to look forward to.
That's right, Jesse, when your backs are against the wall, it's a case of calling the mob. As you say, with Ram and Joe, you know you're going to get some points in the bag.
It's down to him or me, one or the other. Let's find out who the team captains have selected for tonight's heat.
We haven't performed so well, so we desperately need some points now, and there's no other player that I'd rather put in than Bengt Sonnet, so he's playing for Sweden today.
Don Fagan is probably our most experienced player, if not our best player. Has been picked for Ireland to play in this heat. We expect him to do very well.
I've picked Joe Beavers for the Great Britain team because, first of all, there's only 2 of them left, so it was a coin spin. And secondly, because I think he's tailor-made for this field. I think he's going to win it for definite. In fact, I've had a good bet on him to put Great Britain right up there on the map.
For today's heat, I put myself in for the Danish team. There's no special reason for putting myself in today, but I think I will be doing pretty good.
I picked Cloney Gowan for Team USA today because she got a good night's rest. People don't know much about Cloney. They're fixing to find out. We're going to let the world know about Cloney Gowan right now.
I chose Andreas from Germany today because he's one of the strongest Hold'em player I've ever met, and he's the right answer for Bengt from Sweden.
The rules will be basking in the warm glow of Thomas Kremser from the International Poker Federation, and shooting the tickets are Marina Kremser and Stevie. Here we go for the 5th heat of this 888 Poker Nations Cup. And Barney, the last heat, Germany had their back to the wall and they did it won. This heat, it's Sweden and Great Britain with their backs to the wall, and they've gone with Bengt Sonnet and Joe Beavers. Great choices.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Sonnet is going to be mixing it up early, I think, and Joe Beavers, he's a lock-in for a top 3 finish.
Joe Beavers, this is his home, this format, this table. He's been on a roll lately, but this first hand folded around to the small blind, and the Danish captain, Martin Wendt,
Raised to 150.
raising the very first pot. He's put the pressure on Cloney Gowan from the USA.
Pass.
A lot of the European viewers might not know Cloney Gowan's play, but she is a very successful female American player, and she won a ladies' invitational then. Looking at Martin Wendt there, he is, of course, well known. Big finish, a final table of $1 million tournament here in Europe.
That's right, and alongside Joe Beavers, the most experienced in this format, these televised tournaments, Jesse.
Martin is playing for about 3 years now, but he's learned very quickly, and today I think he's also one of the best tournament players in Denmark.
Each player beginning, of course, with 5,000 in chips. The green chips, 25 each, black 100 apiece, and the browns worth 500. Total of 30,000 in chips on the table.
Pass.
Beavers from the button.
Raise to 100.
This is his first raise, and that is a raising hand, suited ace.
Pass.
Early on, are these raises kind of testers to see what kind of respect they're going to get in the blinds, Barney?
Well, it is a genuine hand. They don't know what he's got. Could be a button raise, but Cloney has got the right kind of hand when you've already invested in the big blind to have a look.
2 players.
And she's sending a message that the blind, her blind, is not for sale.
Check.
Ace for Joe, but there's 3 hearts on board.
Joe has to bet this, of course. Cloney with only a gut
150.
shot.
An 8 would make Cloney a nice hand, but I guess she's going to be respecting those hearts, Barney, or...
Well, that's right. It's only 3 cards she'd really like to see. Wouldn't like to see the 8 of hearts.
What do you know about Cloney Gowan's game? Pot to Joe Beavers, by the way, fold by Gowan.
She always gives off a very, very calm, considered sort of image. You don't feel that she rushes into decisions. You don't feel that she makes many bad decisions. It's a good persona to have as a poker player. She gets a lot of respect, Jesse.
So how do you play Texas Hold'em? The action starts with each player receiving 2 cards face down from the dealer. The 2 players to the immediate left of the dealer post the blinds. They can call, or raise, or they can fold. Once this round of betting is over, the dealer reveals the flop. 3 community cards dealt in the middle of the table. More betting follows, then comes a 4th card, the turn card, and the 5th card, known as the river. Players must make the best 5-card poker hand using the 7 cards available.
Early on in this tournament, no movement as of yet. And do you think the top teams, Barney, talking about Denmark, talking about Ireland, are they looking to try and go for the gold here to add those 10 points? Or do you think they've told their men, just sit tight and get some more points?
Well, I think it's all about piling on the points now, piling on the pressure on those teams that are under it, especially Great Britain. They know that Joe has got to get points, so they'll be trying to pressurise him whenever they can.
Pass.
Don Fagan has just limped into this pot with the ace-10 offsuit. Would you have expected a raise there, Barney?
Yes, I would. He was kind of, I guess you could say, middle position, didn't want to get in too deep.
2 players.
And Andreas Krauser has been given a free flop, but has missed as well.
But he has hit
Check.
a kind of
Check.
big blind flop.
It's gone check, check, ace leading. We've seen Krauser make a little bluff against Sonnert in the early stages, and here he goes again.
This is the perfect opportunity to take a pot away because it looks like the sort of thing he might hit in the big blind. Fagan showed no interest on the flop, and really he might be thinking he should have entered with a raise there.
Krauser, an experienced tournament player. He won the Omaha Rolling Rankings this year, but No Limit Hold'em is a bit of a different game.
Sometimes I play very tight, sometimes I play very aggressive. I think you need the right mixture, and I try to handle it from game to game. If you play in the team, you are much more responsible as if you play for your own. It's like if you have a family. If you have a family, you must care for your sons and for your daughters and for your wife. If you're alone, you only have to care for yourself. And so it's in the poker team. So I like to play this event.
I had 2 bags and
6 players, 6 nations. And in this Poker Nation Cup, things are starting to take shape. And one of the things that has taken shape is that Great Britain needs points. That is Sweden there. They could use some points as well. But Bengt Sonnert from Sweden, one of those players that likes to accumulate rather than just hang about.
That's right. Bengt always the most likely to make the early running. But Joe Beavers behind him with a great hand to take a look with.
It was a pretty big raise from Bengt. 175 is fairly large at this level. And Beavers elected to just call. He doesn't want to get too deep in case he's behind, Barney.
Well, he's also disguising his hand. As it happens, if it comes clubs, Joe could win a very big pot.
Wendt in the small blind for Denmark, also peeling off of this flop.
I must say, Jesse, I probably would have wanted to make a re-raise with Joe's hand just to find out where I stood. But this is the kind of flop you expect a raiser, a normal raiser, to represent. But with Bengt Sonnert, they've got no reason to believe.
Check.
Wendt was studying. He's got a gut shot straight. 4 would make him the nuts.
Check.
And Sonnert slows down now. Beavers with the best hand on the button. Will he bet?
No, I don't think so. Not with two players out there.
Free card. Anybody could catch one here. And that was very interesting.
Now Bengt Sonnert has got the up and down straight draw. Wendt has got the pair and the gut shot. There's plenty for Bengt to bet with.
Barney, what a disaster a 4 would be for Denmark right now. Sonnert has come out betting. Beavers is actually beating the raiser, but not beating the man on his left.
Joe has none of this, and with a man behind him, there's no way he's going to get busy. But Wendt, he may feel that Sonnert is just having a pop at it.
He has called. If it comes a 4, Denmark in trouble. That 5 changes nothing, which means Wendt is now ahead.
Well, I think Wendt will check, and if Bengt has another go at it, I think Wendt will probably call.
6s and 5s is the winner. Well played by Denmark.
Yes, I think so. He knew where he was. I mean, he might have raised on the turn to put the pressure on Sonnert, but Sonnert knew at that point if he didn't actually hit his hand, he probably wasn't going to get away with a bluff on the river.
So Martin Wendt, the Danish captain, taking a nice little pot, and that'll make him the early chip leader, Barney. And Sonnert, who needs desperately to gain points for Sweden, has taken a small step backwards. Welcome back to the 5th heat of the 888 Poker Nations Cup. Bengt Sonnert under the gun. He had a fast start. Hadn't picked up much chips because of it, and now under the gun here.
Raise to 300.
It's triple the bet.
This is standard Bengt Sonnert procedure, and Don Fagan only calling with the ace-king suited. Well, this could be a huge, huge trap for Bengt if the right flop comes down. But once again, I'm surprised at Fagan not choosing to re-raise with this kind of hand.
It is very surprising, especially given the frequency of Sonnert's raises.
Well, he feels he's setting a trap.
200 on Krauser now in the big blind, and we are head up. If no ace or no king comes, the trap may be on his head.
2 play.
Well, they'll get away cheap. Oh, well, this is perfect because Sonnet will feel he has to bet this flop. And he won't like the answer he gets. Will Fagan
500.
re-raise straight away, or will he try to reel Sonnet in? I think the move is probably to stick the raise in.
It's a big bet. Players only be getting this with 5,000 in chips and 500. Is it call or raise?
Call.
He doesn't know how little of this Sonnet's got, and what a perfect card, because now it's probably going to go check, check, and Fagan might get
Check.
one more bluff out of Sonnet at the end.
What's going through Sonnet's mind? He's checked. Does he know he's in trouble? Could he put Fagan on a draw?
Well, the only way Fagan's going to get any more is checking
Check.
here. He knows he's a very wily customer, and if Sonnet wants to win this, he's going to have to bet, but if he does, he's not going to like what happens. Well, he's checked it. He hasn't fallen for it.
Sonnet providing the escape out, but Fagan has to know he's ahead now. Only about 3 hands out there that beat him.
800.
And the bet of 800 quickly folded. Don Fagan, they used to call him Kaluki Don in old Vegas. That was his game, but it's no limit hold'em now. And for Ireland, that will put Fagan up near the chip lead.
We feel we're in a comfortable position at the moment. We're second in the points hit, so we're quite happy where we are at the moment. I prefer an aggressive game. I think there's a few aggressive players. I don't care to mention their names at the moment, but I have my own game plan.
Bengt Sonnet from Sweden finding the early going rough. He's in the big blind now, which puts the USA on the button.
Pass. Raise to 250.
And Joe Beaver's getting into the fray for Great Britain. Pocket pair, Barney.
Pass.
Well, that's the way you get on with this kind of hand.
Cloney Gowan, she's on the button, and will she defend?
Well, she's not going to throw this hand away. The question is she going to put the pressure on Joe?
Raise 500 more.
I like this. This is good, strong play.
750.
Joe won't know whether he's up against a bigger pair. Very expensive to put in 10% of your chips when you don't know where you stand.
750 is the biggest bet we have seen in this heat so far. And Gowan from the USA, first to put the muscle down, and she's done it on Great Britain.
I think this one might get through, Jesse. He knows she's holding a genuine hand, a strong hand. She's trying to find out whether her ace is good. She wouldn't like Joe to come back at her with an ace-king. But the kind of hand he's got, very, very hard to continue, especially out of position.
You know, a lot of people have images of women players as rocks, but she's no rock, is she, Barney?
No, she played that hand strong. She's played it well. She's given Joe a very difficult problem, and I think that most experienced players will do what he did there and get out of the firing line.
Well, Great Britain just surrenders, and the USA will run up the red, white, and blue flag. Cloney Gowan making a statement here and staying well in touch of her starting stack.
When I first met Cloney, she's from Dallas, Texas, my own hometown. She was a fabulous person and a good player. Now, she's a great player. Her game's come a really long way in a short amount of time. She's been listening to some of the best players in the world tell her, like, you did this wrong. And she didn't just say, I didn't do that wrong. No, she said, you know what? I can play that better. And she has. Her game's come a long way and quick.
Of these players, Barney, I think all of them, with the exception perhaps of Andreas Krauser, have been on a TV table before. Sometimes your first time under the cameras is a bit of a nerve-wracking experience.
Yes, it is. I think Krauser probably has been as well. Certainly in the World Heads Up, if nothing else.
Fagan made a final table in Aruba of the WPT 2 years ago. He got third, and he's raised this pot from the button with the Queen King.
Wow. That's a good solid hand to raise from the button with, but that's not the kind of hand you want to see behind you when you do.
Beavers from Great Britain. Is it re-raise?
Yes, I mean, I think that he's putting Fagan on the...
Call.
Well, he's playing it the same way that Fagan played it. He's setting the trap.
Joe is out of position, but ace-king really strong right now, isn't it?
Bent getting a chance to come into... Well, that's a very, very disciplined pass.
Beavers could have shot both players at the same time, but he's got Don Fagan from Ireland in his sights right now, and he's got the right flop to do it.
Absolutely perfect. This is very, very bad news for Fagan. He has to believe he's in front here, and it's just a question of how Joe extracts the maximum from this wily Irish player.
Great Britain has played so far to win a big pot, and now the table is set for Beavers.
Very interesting that Joe chose not to re-raise before the flop. He knows that Fagan's a solid player, didn't want to scare him off, and now he's got his dream flop here.
Joe's going to try and make this pot very big.
Raise to 1900.
Wow, that's a big raise. It's a raise of 1500. It's massive. Fagan's going to have to go all in if he wants to play.
Well, Joe's made what looks like an over-raise, maybe trying to make him think that he's got a flush draw or something like that. Very, very tough decision for Fagan. He's one of the players around this table who could put this down, especially against a player like Joe, but it's very, very difficult. Joe's trying to make him feel like he doesn't want a call.
What a great play. Surely Fagan believes that if Beavers did have the ace-king, he would have re-raised before the flop. Anybody else would have.
He can't put him on that. He doesn't think he'd play a set this way. Looks a lot like a pair and a flush draw, Jesse. Although, of course, it can't be a pair of kings in the flush draw because Fagan's got the king of hearts in his hand. Fagan's having a lot of trouble figuring out what Joe's got here. And it may be, if he can't figure it out, he'll just think, well, I better put the hand down because I don't know where I am.
There's 3,000 to win in this pot, and Fagan has 5,000 back. Which way does he want to go?
Well, if he puts this down, it'll be a very good, disciplined pass. He really is having a lot of trouble putting Joe on a hand.
Don Fagan very experienced, and he's counting down his stack. What does he want to do with this? Fold seems so unlikely, Barney. It's a huge hand top pair right now.
Yeah, a bit far for you to come over the top. But
He's considering the possibility that Joe might play a small set this way as well.
Change of plan.
But I think that he might finish up putting Joe on a big draw, but he knows even if Joe's got a big draw, he's not safe.
This is going as card in the script, but I'll let you have this one, Joe.
Wow.
That's a great, great pass.
35 years or more of poker experience from Ireland's Don Fagan, and it's all led to a great pass. Not a lot of players that could have gotten out of that, and Beavers was world class there to win a big one, but he didn't get on.
We've got a great team. Everybody on the team can play, and things haven't gone our way so far. We've lost the even money shots. The situations that you would expect to go for us haven't gone for us. Dave Elliott was particularly unlucky the way his heat played out. Tony was very unlucky. He was chip leader five-handed, and then in three quick hands he's out in fifth place. Ram and I have still got to play, and we both like our chances. I think whatever happens, we're going to have a shot in the final. We're going to win that trophy. Don't you worry about that.
Okay. Looks good.
Still 6 here, and 4 players at this table, Barney, have more chips than they started with. Bengt Sonnert has been very economical about the way he's distributed his chips so far.
Yes, he has. He started in his usual style, spraying the chips around. And he's put himself under a little bit of pressure in the process. Vent now on the button with a very pretty looking hand to make a raise with.
Nearly triple the bet. 2 and 3 bits.
Well, Krauser thinking about having a look with those suited connectors. He might even be considering the playback. More likely to be thinking about just taking a flop, Jesse.
Interesting thinking about Germany's positions. I mean, after 2 heats, they looked like they were out of it. They've come all the way back. And do you think the message from the German captain to Krauser was different than it was to Katja and Sprecht?
No, I think he just put them in and let them play their game when they're giving him only one problem, Jesse. How's he going to find a place for himself in the final now? Because he considers Krauser to be his strongest card.
Well, Krauser defending his big blind with a big red label. And this pot's pretty big. And they've both hit, but neither has top pair.
I don't think Krauser's going to be getting too excited about hitting bottom pair on that flop. And that's a beautiful card for Wendt.
Yeah, Krauser actually drawing dead at this stage. No card can win him the pot. And I don't think that money's coming back.
I was going to say that you know, he feels he had an opportunity to represent the Queen, but he's going to find out now that that's money poorly spent.
Been a cagey play by Wendt. Perfect turn card for him.
Well, it was a cheap attempt to find out where he was in the pot. I don't think that Krauser's going anywhere further with this one.
Pass.
Well, he's made the right fold. Does he feel bad for even getting involved in that pot in the first place?
No. I mean, it was cheap enough for him to see a flop. He had a playable hand, and when Wendt showed no interest on the flop, he probably felt that he could take it away unless Wendt had a queen.
Germany on the button to send, which will leave Don Fagan in the big blind. Action now on Denmark's captain, Martin Wendt. There's been some great play by the Danes in this tournament so far. You talk about Pedersen, you talk about Jurgensen, but Wendt has a little bit of a job because he'd love to play in the final, but he's going to have to justify his performance here.
Well, he's not a man overburdened by ego, Jesse. He'll put in the best side to win in the situation. He's played a great captain's role throughout this tournament up to now.
Great selections, great spirit. And,
raise to 250.
Great play so far. The raise is from the button. Krauser for Germany with the ace.
Raise to 800. Pass.
Well, this is the magic of Bengt Sonnert, Barney. Re-raise to 550. Can Krauser call?
Won't be easy for Krauser to call this, believe me.
Little does he know he's got a handful and a half.
A re-raise out of the small blind, very, very strong. Wouldn't want to be dominated with the ace, and that's vintage Sonnert.
I mean, how do you get your chips back? You take a 5-7 from the small blind with the re-raise. I mean, there's very few players in the world who would even consider that move, Barney.
Well, it's just a case of him feeling that Krauser's making a weak button still, and feeling those chips are there to be taken.
We're second last with 15 points, but we're not so far behind the leader. So we have two strong players left. So hopefully after today we'll be having most chips in the final. Tournaments are always about surviving, but even if you want to come first, you have to survive to the last three. So you have to be careful in the beginning with the chips, and then you start moving as usual. It's the same strategy as always.
Well, that is the end of the second level. Wendt, phenomenal chip leader. But what's to come? It's been a cagey game.
Well, it has been cagey, but the story of that level has been those two hands.